Happy 2024, everyone. I'm so excited to be back with you. This is the first episode for in the new year. So I thought let's start it off with quick little mini-sode of just me. I have some really cool interviews in store coming up throughout the next couple of months, so stay tuned for those. But today I just wanted to talk a little bit about raising strong-willed kids. This is a question I get often. This is something that anytime I post on TikTok or on Instagram about, I'm usually flooded with either DMs or comments, emails. So I understand and know that this is certainly something that a lot of parents need support on. If you've been getting my emails, you know that I am going to be hosting or doing a group coaching program. It is going to be over a month. It's going to be 1 month long. It's going to include 4 calls over Zoom. And the group is small. I keep the group at 10 parents, and we're going to be specifically talking about raising strong-willed kids between the ages of 2 and 10. So on today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about my point of view as it pertains to strong-willed kids, and I'm going to share with you the 4 to 5 points that I think often get missed. It's really funny because right before I started to record this episode, I went on ChatGPT and just asked, how can parents support strong-willed kids? Just curious to see what it would say. And it listed probably 10 points, and of the 10, I think I agreed with 2. So it's not that I disagreed. It's just that it was that conventional advice that is always given that really honestly, after working with kids for now 22 years, it's just not that effective. So parents feel frustrated because they're doing all the quote unquote right things, but you're finding that the result or the outcome isn't what you had hoped for. So it makes you feel defeated. It makes you feel like you're not doing anything right. And it kind of leaves us scrambling with what to do next. Kiddos who are strong-willed love the fact that we don't know what to do because it keeps them in power, and they thrive on power. They really love it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about where I disagree, what I disagree on, and then I'll share a little more information about the group at the end. This will be a short episode, so I won't keep you too long. I'll try to get to it without being super wordy. So first and foremost, one of the pieces of advice that's always shared is give choices. Kids who have a lot of power and kids who are strong-willed want to feel like they're the ones in charge. They want to feel like they have a sense of autonomy and agency over a situation. And if it's their choice and they're not told to do it, they will benefit from this approach. I don't think there is anything wrong with giving choices. I want to just come out and say that. But I think that advice is so overgiven and so overdone, it is not useful. So what ends up happening is that we give choices for everything under the sun, and that's actually the opposite of what a strong-willed child wants. So a strong-willed child, when they become defiant, when they become dysregulated, what they're really saying to us is, I am flooded with so much power and emotion that I cannot manage right now. I cannot get myself to stop. I feel scared and I feel out of control. Who has power with me? Who is going to help me? Who is my safe person that I can butt up against that I know will hold on to me in these moments? They are looking for that boundary. They are looking for that consistent structure. They are looking for that predictability. When they don't get it, they feel more out of control, and this elicits bigger responses, bigger behaviors that are hard to manage. And we find ourselves on this hamster wheel that we just can't get off of. So instead, what we end up doing is we just kind of give a choice and give a choice. That's not what they need. It really isn't what they need. I'm not saying don't ever do it. Certainly give some choices here and there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's that we just do it too much and we think that's the solution to everything. Now, again, if you don't have a strong-willed child and you're posing a choice type situation to your kiddo and you find it works really well, do it. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm not saying to you like choices are so wrong. It's just the first piece of advice given when I ask, what should you do if you have a strong-willed child? And it's the least effective. And it's because of the fact that they value power over approval. Most of us parent using an approval model, meaning you give a direction, your child listens, we praise the child who listens, we feel very satisfied with this exchange, we cheer the kiddo on that was cooperative, and the child who values approval loves this. They feel great when they've made you happy. They really appreciate that back and forth exchange. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with being a child who values approval because you, the parent, have your child's best interest at heart, and they can't figure that out quite yet. So when they do things that make you happy, it's only building trust because you have to steer the ship when they're younger. We have to shift that model of approval as they get older and require more opportunities to be independent. That's where we don't want them to constantly look to us for our approval. But anyways, for the purposes of what I'm talking about today, kiddos who are 2 to 10, When they are strong-willed, they don't care about your approval. And you know this if you have a strong-willed kid. You'll give a direction, they scream no at you because it goes against what they want to do. When the outcome is something they don't want, they have a really big response to this. They're not concerned about who approves and who doesn't. They are managing and dealing with this abundant amount of power, and they don't know what to do, which usually elicits big emotion dysregulation. And then we have to jump in and figure out, how do we stay calm and how do we respond in a way that's going to meet their needs while also managing some of those challenging behaviors that come through. So with that, I wanted to talk about setting boundaries. And again, if you join the group coaching program, I'm going to talk very specifically about this, particularly for the 10 people who are in it. We're going to really go through each one of your situations, and we're going to give you tangible tips to take away, tools to use, scripts to use, strategies to implement in your home, because a personalized approach is really going to be the necessary thing here so that you can consistently implement it. So back to the idea of setting boundaries, certainly we all know this on a cerebral level. Like, sure, set boundaries and stick to it. So that's true. We have to set boundaries, but with strong-willed kids, it's a couple of things. It has to be a very clear boundary. There has to usually be an action attached to that boundary. So if this, then that, or when this, then that. And in addition to that, we cannot rely on a lot of language and explanations to help our kiddos who are strong-willed. They are intelligent beyond words, and you know this. They're clever, they're smart, they're observant. They're not choosing to engage in a challenging behavior because they don't have the information. That's not why. So peppering them with countless explanations or endless explanations isn't going to modify or change the behavior you're hoping to change. So what you want to do instead is set boundaries, stay consistent over an extended period of time. And that's the hard part. We usually, on average, will throw in the towel after attempting 3 times. And we throw in the towel after attempting 3 times because usually the response is big. We're overwhelmed by their response. We assume they're sad, their sadness or crying or arguing back, yelling back, whatever it looks like, physical tantrums happen, is it's indicating to us that what we just did didn't work. So we associate dysregulation with not working. And so what ends up happening is we say, that didn't work, that's not effective. I'm going to go back to this other model of yelling or threatening to take things away, because that does work. And it can work in the interim, in the short term, but it does have long-lasting negative impacts on a child when we use fear-based tactics to get them to behave in a way that we want them to. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to go toward that. But again, the problem isn't so much that they're having the big responses. It's that in your mind, doing something that works means no more crying, no more negative emotions, no more outbursts, no more emotion dysregulation. Just saying okay and yes and always being compliant and cooperative. So when that's the model that we're aiming toward, of like, that works or that's working, and anything other than that isn't working, you will give up fast, because a strong-willed child, again, going back to what I just said, they don't really care about approval. That's not a value to them. They're not interested in that. So that's something that we want to really be clear on. We have to set boundaries, clear boundaries, not a lot of language, and we have to be doing this over an extended period of time. And the last piece of it, and again, there's so much to say here. I could talk for hours on raising strong-willed kids. But the last thing I want to mention, and I want you to consider about if you're going through this in your own home, is that a dysregulated child will not calm down with a dysregulated adult. The biggest challenge in raising a strong-willed child when they have big outbursts or moments when they are so hard to manage is keeping yourself calm. When your child is dialing up, you have to have a tool that allows you to automatically dial down. I work on this with parents in one-on-one coaching. It's a big part of what I do, because until you can regulate yourself and look at the fact that your child is struggling through something and not allow that to completely take you down, you will be halfway there. A calm parent will help a child calm down 10 times faster than a dysregulated parent. And you know this yourself. When you become dysregulated in that moment, what usually happens? You probably yell. You probably offer to take something, or you probably threaten to take something away, or offer to give something. There's an exchange. Okay, if you stop, we'll stop here on our way to school. If you can stop crying and go get your shoes on right now, I will buy you A, B, and C after school. So those are the things we reach for. And guess what happens to a strong-willed kid in that moment? They're like, that was great. That was so effective. Every time I find myself in this complete dysregulation, something good comes out of it. Or let's look at the other way. Let's say it's threatening or punishing. That child has no ability to process those emotions. They don't even know what they're called. Nobody's validating anything for them. There's no empathy being expressed. There's no room for connection. And anytime they experience a negative emotion, we're shutting it down with some type of punishment. Well, then we wind up with teens, tweens, adults who don't have the ability to process hard emotions, and they always run the other way when they come their way. So I would like to think that maybe we'll be the first generation to raise kids who can sit and process hard emotions and not want to shut them down and leave, and not want to go the other way, or not want to have it express itself in more negative behaviors, right? We want to really help our kids be able to sit with it, something that most of us likely didn't get to do. But in order for our kids to do that, it is like holding that mirror up to ourselves saying, you have to do it too. You're in this with me. So again, those are all tools that I teach. Those are all strategies that I give to parents, particularly a parent who's especially overwhelmed. Sometimes we just need a way to pause. Sometimes we just need a way to acknowledge what's happening. Sometimes reflecting is the most powerful practice we can choose in those moments to later go back and to see what worked, what didn't. Where do I need support? Where am I finding that I don't have the answers? Where do I find like I'm just grabbing for tactics that probably my own parents used or maybe grandparents used, or, whatever the case might be. We're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. So instead, I would offer that you consider joining this group coaching program, at least get on the wait list. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to come out, but if the wait list is open, grab a spot on that wait list, and then I will open it up. It's like I said, 10 people. I'm so excited to do it. Give yourself the gift of being able to be in community with other parents who are going through the exact same thing as you. More often than not, their question is often your question and vice versa. There is also a lot of benefit in being able to see what another parent is going through and knowing you are not alone. I cannot tell you how many parents of strong-willed kids that I talk to, they're like, my friends' kids don't act like this. Or when we go places, I am the one looked at with the side eye because I'm the one who has to constantly deal with challenging behaviors. My kid is always the one who hits the other kids, and my friends have stopped calling me for play dates. Like, those are things that happen all the time. So put yourself in a community where you don't feel completely isolated and alienated, and you know that we can get through this. There are solutions to these things. It does pass, I promise you. I know it feels like forever when you're in it, but I can tell you it does pass. And there is a way to help our kids work through these challenges, to work through some of this while also maintaining the integrity of that power and the fact that there are leaders and creatives, and they're usually disruptors in the sense that they come up with new things and they kind of think outside the box. Those are beautiful things that we want to hold on to. So instead of just going back and resorting to some type of fear-based tactic where we kind of stifle who they are, there is a better way through this. So if you have additional questions, feel free to email me or come on over to Instagram or TikTok and send me a direct message and I will get back to you. But yeah, all the information will be in the show notes. So go ahead and grab your spot. I am so excited. I do love doing group coaching. And again, it's just a middle tier. It's more affordable than the one-on-one option. The one-on-one option is fantastic if you're really in the weeds and you know you need a full 2 months. It's much more hands-on. I'm with you much more. It's totally personalized. It's a little bit of a different process. The group coaching will also have a lot of those same themes throughout it, but you will be in community and it will be an affordable price point versus the one-on-one 2-month program. So again, information will be in the show notes. Grab your spot on that wait list. Don't hesitate. And again, Happy New Year, everyone. I'm really excited for 2024.